Welcome to the Minor Details. Oh my God, it's episode 28 again. And Danny and Pete are back, baby. What's going on, Pete?
We're back, baby. Hey, great to see you, Danny. How's your week been, man? How have you been feeling?
Oh my God, my week has been awesome. I just been, honestly, Pete, I was up last night editing videos until like 3 in the morning. This is my life, Pete.
I know it's a busy life, brother, but hey, it's all paying off, man. I love the progress. I love the video quality. You keep getting better and better. And man, it's exciting to be part of this journey. So thank you for having me once again.
No problem at all, Pete. And you know what? I think what we want to talk about right off, because, what we do on this podcast is we talk about everything: crime, entertainment, news, you name it, acting, right? Anything. We talk about everything. We have to bring up the plane crash that happened in D.C. today. I mean, I can't even imagine a helicopter running into a passenger plane. And Pete, I don't know if you know this right now. They're saying that only one guy was on duty, traffic controller at that time. I mean,
Well,
and they said that's unheard of. He shouldn't have been alone.
I did not know that. The only detail that I'd heard specifically was that the helicopter was doing a training course. And the fact that it's only one air traffic controller, I mean, that's just so sad to hear. So first of all, my condolences to all the families. My heart goes out to everyone who was lost today and all the families who are grieving. That's just unspeakable, Danny. I mean, this is a tragedy. I think I heard it was the biggest air traffic crash that we've had in the U.S. in 15 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine. Could you imagine like waiting at the airport to pick up your loved one and seeing that? I mean, it's crushing. It's fucking crushing, Pete. It
Yeah,
really is.
yeah,
Just absolutely horrible. I mean, it makes me sick, and I just wanted to start the podcast with that. Prayers to the families, the victims, everybody. I mean, really, honestly. And we can get into Pete because he has some exciting things to talk about today. We
yeah,
talked before, so get right into it, Pete. Let's do it.
yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on the DC crash one more time, I love watching your podcast, Danny, and your episodic displays of entertainment and education because you tell it how it is. And sometimes the news is not pretty. Sometimes there's ugly truths in the world, and you really tackle those. So I'm glad that we're talking about these things that are devastating to people because this is real life, and people need to know that we are involved, we are invested, and we're paying attention to the pulse of what's going on in the world. So again, my condolences to everyone, and we can definitely move on to some better subjects in just a
Yeah.
moment.
And listen, I want to say Angela is in here, Ethan's in here. We got everybody in here already. And I want you to know, Pete, I'm looking on Instagram right now. We
Nice.
have probably about 60 or 70 people on Instagram right
Wow,
now.
already. Hey, much
Yeah.
love. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to follow Danny. I'm sure most of you on Instagram already are, but some of these viewers hopefully are from my fan base because I've been promoting the show as well. So I want everyone who's tuning in that's never heard of Danny to follow him. Towards the end of the show later, Danny, I want to get to a couple questions for you that I have. But if you'd like, I can go ahead and talk about a couple of things
Yeah.
that I
Pete, one thing, we got a question. Somebody emailed me, and my email is, and don't laugh, everybody out there, I'm old, okay? The
yeah,
crime solver at yahoo.com. I know I still have a Yahoo. At
yes,
least it's not an AOL. At
I
least
love
it's
it.
not an AOL,
I love
right?
it. Yeah,
So
you can
I
find you can find Danny on MySpace and everywhere else. I'm just kidding.
now listen, Pete. I got an email. I swear to you, I got an email, and
Okay,
people wanted the person wanted me to ask you a question. You were on Mr. Beast's new show on Netflix, right?
that's correct.
And there was controversy about this show. My friend, the person that emailed me wants me to ask you, was it really that like that? What was the show like?
That's a fantastic question, and I think that we should definitely do an email question of the week from now on. So if anyone wants to email you a question, Danny, you can bring it up, or same with me. Anyone can reach out to me, and I'd like to start addressing these kind of questions because that's a serious topic. And first, I'll start by saying I love Mr. Beast. I love Jimmy Donaldson. That's actually a Mr. Beast football right over here over my shoulder. So I'm
Okay.
a personal fan. I will tell you who Mr. Beast is for those of the viewers who do not know him, and then I'll tell you about the controversy from my perspective. So, Jimmy Donaldson, aka Mr. Beast on YouTube, is the world's biggest YouTuber. He has the most subscribers of any YouTuber whatsoever. He's only 26 years old. I really started liking Mr. Beast content probably about 7 years ago when I saw him giving away free cars to people in need. He would go to people who were hungry and he would help feed them. He would go to places like Africa and impoverished villages, and he would drill wells. He would help provide water. He would help give housing. So to me, I grew up in poverty, and that was super cool to see someone, especially a young man, giving back to the world. So that's who Mr. Beast is, Jimmy Donaldson. Now he has evolved into being the biggest YouTuber, which has allowed him to get that deal with Amazon Prime for his new show, Beast Games, on Amazon Prime. They just released episode 8. We just released episode 8 today, if I'm not mistaken. And there is a lot of controversy going on around that. So I'd like to go ahead and jump into that right away. The first controversy I heard was that there were people on set, contestants, who were not getting treated appropriately, people who are not getting their needs met, people who are not getting water or food. And I will just start with the disclaimer that Amazon Prime's Beast Games Season 1 was the craziest, most wild show I've ever been part of. And
Okay.
that's in a good way, Danny. I've been on 106 movies and TV shows. Beast Games.
Wait a second. Pete has been on 106 movie and TV shows.
That's right.
Pete, I've been on one and I brag about it every day. If I was on that many, my head would be this big.
Hey, brother, the one we worked on together was one of my favorites just because you were there. I'm not going to lie. That was amazing.
I had fun making that movie, but God, if I made 101 movies, I'd be bragging, Pete. I'd be bragging.
On your way. I am very humbled and very honored and blessed that I've been able to do that. And when I say I've been part of 106 movies and TV shows, what I mean is both on camera as well as in crew positions. Some of these shows and movies, I worked as an assistant director. Some I worked as a production assistant. Sometimes I was a stand-in for people like Robert Downey Jr., Jeremy Renner, Ryan Gosling, things like that. So I did a lot both in front and behind the camera. But Beast Games, back to Beast Games, it was the most mind-blowing production I've ever worked on. And the reason why, for anyone who doesn't understand or know the premise behind Beast Games, Jimmy got around 40 Guinness World Records for the show. One of the world records was for the most money given away on any game show in history. He gave away $5 million cash. And Danny, that was real $5 million USD. I actually helped count it in front of the Nevada police. I helped count it and put it in the Federal Reserve box. It was real cold, hard cash. So,
oh my God.
Jason, how would you react if you had 5,000 in front of you? I'm sorry,
oh my God.
5 million. It was crazy. It was a giant stack of money. Right. See, Angela wants to know about Ryan Gosling.
She wants to know about Ryan.
Yeah, we can talk about Ryan a little later. I worked with him for a couple weeks on a movie called First Man, where he portrayed Neil Armstrong. Amazing movie. I got to read lines with him, got to act with him, stand in for him. But I want to address this Mr. Beast controversy.
Pete, hang on a second. Just so Angela knows, me and you are better looking than Ryan Gosling, so she needs to relax.
Here and we're up here. We're a little
yes, high. Ryan's here and me and Pete are up here. We're up here. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Ryan's a really good guy. He's a really great, humble guy, very consummate professional. But yeah, we're much more attractive than him.
Of course.
Don't tell Eva says that, because I did kind of make eyes with her on set too. So anyway, back to Mr. Beast. This show was so crazy, Danny, because the whole premise, it was outrageous, giving away $5 million. I started on that show back in Las Vegas working as a production assistant, and then I got hired by Sean Klitzner, who is the chief production officer. I got hired as a development coordinator. That's what caused me to make the choice to move away from Vegas and move to Toronto temporarily, Toronto, Ontario, where we filmed the rest of the show. I helped develop the show. It was such a blessing. But the controversies that I heard were that 2,000 contestants were not being treated fairly. They were not getting water. They were not getting food. So he's a brilliant creative mastermind. He has a whole team behind him of Sean, Tyler, and many others who are helping to develop the show. But this was an unheard of concept, bringing 2,000 people together for the initial contestants and having 2,000 people compete for $5 million. Every one of them wanted that $5 million very badly. And so it was a logistical challenge, to say the least. There were over 600 crew members on set in Las Vegas, 600 people to help wrangle the contestants, to help feed them, to help provide them with sleeping bags, because they had to sleep right there on the stadium, in Allegiant Stadium. They had to sleep in the floors. So
oh my goodness.
I never once saw anyone that was mistreated personally. I never saw anyone that was yelled at, cussed out, treated with aggression. I never saw anyone that was turned away for their necessities. However, with that in mind, there were probably some people who chose not to go get water. there were probably some contestants who chose not to go get food because they wanted to stay right front and center in front of Mr. Beast and the team. They wanted to stay very involved to find out what the next challenge was going to be, because they had no idea how they were going to win this $5 million. It was part mental games, part games of chance, part physical competition. So a lot of these people, they actually probably put their own needs second and probably neglected themselves and just said, hey, no, I'm not going to go get water. There was every hour, Danny, water was going around. Water was being passed around. We had liquid death water on set. So they had access to water. They had access to restrooms. They had access to food. But again, there were probably some contestants who were just so hardcore who said, no, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to get water. So I think that's the derivation of a lot of these accusations. But it was
Pete, you know how it is. I mean, there are long days on sets. I mean, like I said, I'm acting like I'm some kind of veteran. But honestly, working that movie 14 hours a day, I feel like I am. And I mean, that's just what you're sitting around on these sets. And then people just got to realize that, and you're going to always get somebody that bitches. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is.
Absolutely. And I think the accusations that came out after Mr. Beast, after the show was produced, they were very few and far between, but they made big headlines because Mr. Beast is known as a philanthropist. Mr. Beast actually just helped 2,000 people walk again who needed legs. They needed prosthetics. And this 26-year-old YouTuber, out of his own money and his own YouTube ad revenue and his own business, he chose to help get them the medical care and the legs they needed. That has nothing to do with Beast Games, but that's the type of guy he is. So
he's only 26.
He'll be 27 this year. Absolutely. Yes, sir. So it's amazing, man. It's mind-blowing.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So
oh, my God.
Years. Imagine 20 years from now what the impact of Mr. Beast is going to be, you know? But I think a lot of people were a little sad that they didn't win the $5 million. I'd probably be a little upset if I was competing for it and I didn't win it. And a lot of people, they probably did genuinely neglect their own needs. They probably refused to get water because they're like, no, I'm just going to go hardcore. I'm just going to stay right here, right in front and center. And I'm going to be the first one to volunteer when they have the next challenge. Well, you got to put your needs first. And so a lot of these people probably were complaining later because they got eliminated from challenges and they chose not to accept the water or they chose not to accept the food.
Right.
No one was and I'm a humanitarian, Danny. You know me. I'm a dude who I love human beings, even though I don't always like them, but I have a genuine love for humans. So I would not tolerate for anyone to be mistreated on set. And Danny, we had one lady who had a stroke. I did see that one lady. She passed out. She might have just fainted, but it seemed like a stroke to me. And guess what I did? We called the ambulance right away. We called the paramedics. We cleared the aisles. We got this young lady taken care of immediately. We addressed that concern the second it happened. We stopped the games. We stopped filming. We just addressed that concern immediately. That's how
I don't know if you remember when we were on set on that movie, we had somebody drop too. You might have left that night.
I heard about that. Yes. I've seen that happen now on probably a handful of movie sets. I've seen people pass out on set. And a lot of times it's the air circulation's not good. People are not getting water. They're not staying hydrated. A lot of times a third shift job and they roll into a movie set the next day thinking, oh, this is going to be a walk in the park. But they don't understand you have to stand around sometimes for 12 hours a day. So yeah, it's going to happen, Danny. It's going to happen in the industry and definitely in filming where some of the viewers may not understand, but the hours are very exhaustive and you're in front of these hot lights all the time. You know, you're doing take after take after take. So it's a very demanding profession.
Let me tell you something. After filming that movie, and I only did it for 5 days, guys, 5 days, I was exhausted. Like, I gained respect for these actors, especially the guys in the leads. I couldn't even imagine the girls and guys in the leads, the stress, it was stressful, and I wasn't even in a big part in it, you know?
Yes. The stress is real, and a lot of people, they just, until you experience it, Danny, it's one of those things that we can sit here and tell people about it all day, but when people really experience it for themselves, they'll see and understand, wow, Danny and Pete were not lying. And I see we have Jonathan Gordon in the comments. Much love to Jonathan Gordon. Shout out to Chat Town, Chattanooga, Tennessee in the building.
And listen, Pete, I want to tell people, like, when you come on the set for a movie set, the first thing you do is go to wardrobe. If they don't like what you wear, you're changing, and you might be changing 2 or 3 times. Absolutely. You know, so the first thing you do is go to wardrobe, then you go to makeup, and then you sit around for hours until it all starts. It's crazy.
Sometimes hours. You got wardrobe, then you got hair, I'm sorry, wardrobe first, hair, makeup, then you have props, and then sometimes
Yes.
standing up in your full gear, you might be playing a Los Angeles SWAT officer, or in my case, I was playing a Guardians of the Galaxy Ravager, and I had facial prosthetics, and I was just sweating, and the blue makeup was just leaking down my face. It was so uncomfortable, but you do these things for the love of films. It took me
Right.
8 hours to become an alien, to become a Guardians of the Galaxy Ravager for Marvel. But it was worth it. 8 hours in the makeup chair was worth it, Danny.
So listen, guys, so you know, we're going to take the questions of the week anymore because I
Yeah.
thought that was good. So anybody that has a question for us, email thecrimesolver@yahoo.com. And I just want to mention, we're getting a lot of comments that you can't see here, but I could see them on Instagram. A lot
Yes.
of people are saying, I love your content, Danny. You guys are the best. Like we have a lot of people on Instagram right now, a ton of them.
Thank you so much. Much love to Instagram. Much love to all the platforms. Danny, you and I were just talking about this, about how we are cross-platforming now. We are on all the different platforms, and we are continuing to expand on every platform. I think I just saw Stanley in the comments here. Much love to Stanley, another good friend. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. A lot of these guys, Danny, don't know about you, so I want to introduce my fan base to you, as well as appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to be here.
Yeah. And listen, we got to bring this up before we go on to your book because we want to talk about your book.
For
Okay.
sure.
But one thing they brought up, Angela brought it up, Jonathan brought it up. The Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, baby.
Brother, right on. Hey, I know who you're on.
We're going to slay the Lions. The Kansas City Chiefs are going down. We're sick of them. Everybody's sick of them. We want the Eagles to be the Super Bowl champs in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's going to happen, Danny. I feel really good about it. February 9th, it's happening. I'm not
Listen, guys, I grew up an Eagle fan since I'm 4 years old. I mean, I bleed green. I'm going to be honest with you. When they won the Super Bowl in 2018, I cried. When they lost the Super Bowl 2 years ago, I cried. And I'm a grown man.
It's okay, brother. It's okay. You know, those were real tears. Those tears came straight from your heart. So that just shows how much dedication you have for the Eagles. And they're such a great team. They're such a great ball club. You know, you got to give them credit.
Listen, I'm looking for a place to go for the Super Bowl. My neighbors want to go. A bunch of my buddies want to go watch the game together.
Yeah.
Right now, we're looking at South Point. You know where South Point Casino is, right?
South Point Casino. I believe I ate the buffet there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, the buffet is great there. What they're having is they're opening up their ballrooms, and they're going to put big screen TVs, free to everybody to watch the game, but they're going to sell food and have prizes and all that stuff. So they're going to make their money, but they're opening it up for free to everybody, which is pretty cool.
That is incredible, Danny. I think I'm not quite sure yet, but I plan on maybe going to Jelly Roll's new bar. Jelly Roll just opened a new bar here in Nashville, Tennessee, where I'm broadcasting from today. So
that's awesome.
Yes, I just checked out the bar the other day. It's a 5-story bar. It's got a rooftop. It's amazing. And so I'm pretty sure they're going to have some sort of Super Bowl shenanigans going on there. If I don't watch it there, I'm definitely going to find a great place and just really enjoy that game. I'm going to be dialed in for sure.
Listen, I'll text you throughout the game. Listen, I get so nervous. There's times I can't even watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I pace. I mean, I take this so serious. And Pete, we all do. Any man that watches football, and it gives us nothing. Like if the Eagles win, I get nothing. If the Eagles lose, I get nothing. But for some reason, it bothers the shit out of me. I want them to win. I don't know why.
Well, you get that joy. You get those bragging rights for a whole year. And at the end of the day, when you're a diehard fan, you got to just keep rooting for your team, no matter how they're doing. But when they're in the Super Bowl, it's just something that's so not only manly, but just something that's so American and something that's so uniquely human about the Super Bowl. It's just a one-of-a-kind experience. One day, Danny, I'm going to be at a Super Bowl live. I'm speaking that into existence right now.
All right. That sounds good. My goal was, see, Pete, my whole life I thought I was going to be somebody. I thought I was going to be a professional football player. That didn't work. Then I was going to be a professional bass fisherman.
Wow.
That didn't work. Okay. Then I was going to be a professional poker player. That didn't work. The only thing that worked is content creation because I have a big fucking mouth. That's the only reason it worked.
I love it, brother. And let me ask you, and for all the fans as well, what were you going to be in football? Were you going to be the quarterback, the wide receiver? What was your goal?
I played football. Believe it or not, I'm a short Italian guy. Okay, but I was our captain of our football team. I played for 10 years. I was a running back.
Okay. Okay. I bet you're
Yeah,
pretty.
I was. So I ran with the ball. I was good. Listen, I wasn't fast, but I was hard to take down. So
Ah,
if it was 3rd down and 2, they gave me the ball. Yeah, Pete, I was 240 pounds. I wasn't, 185 like I am now. You know what I
okay.
mean? I was 240 pounds when I played
Right.
football.
Well, now you're ripped up. You've tightened it up. Now you've got that brute. So,
I, I could still play. Maybe at 56, I could probably take a hit. I'm sure I could bust right through that line.
absolutely. And you brought that skill to social media content creation. It was hard to take you down on the field. It's hard for them to take you down right now. They can't take you down on TikTok. They can't take you down as a creator. The haters tried. They'll never succeed. You get away from them.
And you know what? I just want to tell you, we got a couple comments here.
Okay, cool.
They're saying the Chiefs, sir. This is on Instagram, so I got to acknowledge Instagram. Sir Charles said the Chiefs are paying off the refs. Better pay off the refs.
Oh,
and
man.
And he also said, Bill Dance, who's one of the big fishermen out there, he mentioned fishing here because I'm a fisherman too. So we got all kind of comments. We got a lot of people on Instagram, believe it or not. So I want to acknowledge them.
Okay, great. Yes, thank you, Instagram. Thank you to everyone tuning in. And Danny, since you mentioned that, I started going fishing with my dad back in a small town in Tennessee when I was very little. I love fishing also. What's your favorite style of fishing? Do you like deep sea? Do you like being out in the ocean? Do you like fishing from a pier? Do you like just fishing from your boats? What's your main go-to?
Pete, I'm actually a bass fisherman. I fish for bass, and it's all artificial lures. I actually fished the bass circuit for like 10 years.
Okay.
I fished the tournament that was on ESPN.
Wow.
Listen, I always went for it. No matter what I did, I tried to be the best. I failed. But I found content creation, and my big mouth is taking over. But listen, fishing is my life. I kayak. I fish probably 25, 30 times a year. I love fishing. It's so much fun. And to be honest with you, I'm probably going to fish a tournament this summer. I'm thinking about fishing a bass tournament this summer. Coming out of retirement.
You know what? We need highlights of that the whole time. We need Angela or someone with the camera giving us the up-to-date shots on every time you catch a fish.
There, we're both a catch. That's what we got. We're both a catch.
Yeah. Love to Angela. Thank you. Thank you to all our fans out here.
We got to answer one more question on Instagram. Pete, we're getting a ton of comments on Instagram. What's the biggest bass you ever caught? Believe it or not, the biggest bass I ever caught was at Raystown Lake in Pennsylvania. It's by State College where Penn State plays. I caught a 5-pound, 9-ounce smallmouth bass, that's big for a smallmouth bass, right? Yeah. But I caught it in a tournament, Pete, with three people left to weigh in. A guy weighed in a 6-pounder, and I lost $1,000.
We're so close, Danny. You were so close. Wow, that's amazing, though. It's such a great sport, man. I see David Sahadi in the comments right here. Man, sounds like Danny needs to come to Chattanooga. We have the best of fishing and outdoors. Have you ever been to Chattanooga, Danny? Have you fished?
No, but listen, Pete, I'm in. You invite me, I'll meet you there someday, man. I'll meet you for sure.
Yeah. It's the area I grew up. There's the Tennessee River. There's so many lakes out there. Chattanooga actually has one of the best sites for mountain climbing, whether it's Lookout Mountain or Signal Mountain. There's a lot of different. Have you ever climbed a mountain? Have you ever tried?
Never. I did go to Zion Park, but we didn't climb a mountain. We just hiked at Zion. I love Zion. Have you been there?
No, I have not yet. No, I did not get
Zion Park in Utah is gorgeous, man. It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
I will definitely be there one day soon, as I get back out to the West Coast.
Now, Pete, let's talk about your book, and then we could talk a little bit about crime in a little bit, but I want to go over your book. So is this your second book?
This is actually my first published book, Danny. I have a few books that are in process. However, the rest of them are not currently published. So and I have not even announced them. I've not announced the titles because I'd like to just kind of hit everyone with a bam, 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 back and forth where I'm just releasing books at a rapid pace, kind of like my friend David Sahadi, who's a great author who was just in the comments a moment ago. But Path to Success up here on my shoulder is my first book that I wrote. And it kind of correlates with something you said a moment ago, Danny. You said you tried everything, you tried your best, and you failed at a lot of it. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, guess what? Failure is one of the best teachers in life. And my book, Path to Success, could have just as easily been called The Path to Failure, because it's about not only what I've learned about how to follow your greatest dreams in life and discover your purpose, discover your motivation. But it's also about learning from your mistakes and hopefully learning from others. So everyone out there doesn't have to be the same kind of bonehead like I was. You don't have to make the same stupid mistakes I did. You can learn from people like me, and I can learn from you, Danny. We can all learn from people who have gone through things and failed. And that's kind of the idea and the energy behind Path to Success. And just a quick little summary and backstory. I started writing the book, Danny, when I was homeless, sleeping in my car. I didn't become homeless by being a slacker. I wasn't like shooting up drugs or doing anything crazy like that. The reason I became homeless, I actually owned a house in small town Tennessee, but then I started getting booked on movie sets in Atlanta, which was about 3 hours away. So I was driving back and forth from Tennessee to Atlanta, and I decided at one point that the movie industry in Hollywood, it was one of my greatest passions, as well as music. So I said, I have to follow this with all my heart. I have to put all my energy and my soul and my being into movies. So I just basically made a decision. Do I keep the mortgage and the house in Tennessee, or do I go for my Hollywood dreams? And Danny, I went for my Hollywood dreams. It was the best decision I ever made in my life. Now, the mortgage holders of my house back in Tennessee, they didn't like it, so they foreclosed the house on me. This was 2015 when you couldn't sell a house. It was a way different. I tried to sell it. No one would buy it. So I had to let the house go. I found myself sleeping in my car, and I had a very nice car I was sleeping in. It was a 95 Jag, a classic Jag.
So it was big enough for you, right?
Back, but that's when I started pulling on my laptop and I started writing this book. It started off as I was just kind of journaling my own experiences, because one day I was working with Tyler Perry. The next day I'm working with Tom Cruise. The next day I'm working with Tom Hardy on Venom. The next day I'm working with Marvel. The next day I'm working with Disney. These experiences were just so mind-blowing that I wanted to write them down for myself first. So it started off as self-journaling, and then it transitioned into what can I take from my own life to give to other people and give to the world to inspire them. So that's when the idea of Path to Success came about. And I said, you know what, let me just share this, all my crazy stories, all my crazy journeys, and let me share what I've learned about how to be the best version of yourself. So that's a very brief summary of what it's about. And it's on Amazon right now.
And you know what, Pete, you are so right. Like, I personally, like I said, I'm in my 50s now, but it took me almost all of 50 years to learn that things don't happen overnight. Like, I had to learn, like, I still post videos and have bad days, Pete, where my videos are in the thousands or the 2000s, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? The old me would have started thinking negative. Oh, it's done. Oh my God, I'm screwing up. I lost it. Nobody wants to watch me anymore. Like, the old me would have been that. But now I realize, guess what I do, Pete? I just keep posting videos. I just keep posting. And things will work out. Guess what? The harder you work, the luckier you are. Believe me, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And just one more thing before we go back into your book, because we got a lot of questions there.
For sure.
I get a lot of comments, especially when TikTok was going to get banned. People are telling me, excuse my language, get a real fucking job. All you do is post videos. You do nothing for a living. Get a real job like the rest of us. They have no idea that I was up till 3 a.m. last night, editing videos. Always constantly, this is my life. I don't take a day off. I haven't taken a day off in 3 years. Like, people don't realize that. That's why I am successful. That's why I have 400,000 followers. People don't realize that. They don't see the hard work, Pete, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right, Danny. And I want to acknowledge you for that. And I want to say that I agree with the description that you just gave of yourself. When I met you, Danny, you were that type of guy who I immediately knew I wanted you in my circle. And before we even met in person, we were already corresponding back and forth. We were already messaging on social media. I had been following you for a pretty substantial amount of time. But Danny,
I see, that was crazy. I didn't know. I knew you were messaging me on Instagram, but I didn't know who you were until I actually met you at the thing.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And I'm so glad we ran into each other. I see a couple of questions here that I'm going to get to in just 1 second. Thank you guys all for your questions. Thank you, Jonathan, William, everyone else that's tuning in. But Danny, I wanted to say that the person you're describing in the past who would just complain and who would just moan and be negative, that's not the type of person that I will have in my circle. I also used to be that person when I was young and immature. I had to develop and accelerate to a higher level, elevate to a higher level. And so that's why I love you so much, because you're on my level. You understand, you see you see the iceberg below the sea, and everyone else just sees the tip of the iceberg. They see your 400K followers, and they're like, "Wow, Danny, what did it take? What do you have to do to get here?" They don't know that you're doing this every single day of your life.
Right.
But it's
And
amazing.
and listen, to be honest with you, you have to consume yourself in it. You have
Yeah,
to be successful, it's got to be your life. And Pete, I'm going to tell you this, and this is the truth. And to anybody out there that wants to go after your goals, the biggest people in your life that are going to discourage you is your family and friends. Your
yeah,
family and friends will discourage you. They will not support you. They will tell you every reason you're going to fail. And
sadly.
you respect your family and friends. And a lot of people quit because of stuff their family and friends say. So
Yeah,
I'm telling you, your family and friends are fucking wrong. And
they
you go after your goals. Your
absolutely
family and friends are wrong.
yes.
I'm telling you.
If they're not supporting your vision, if they're not supporting your purpose and your life mission, and they're telling you give it up, hang it up, come back to your small town, they are absolutely wrong. You have to keep following that with all your heart. Tyler Perry said it. Steve Harvey said it. So many greats that have made it successfully have the same story, Danny, as you and me, where we did not get the support from our original environments. We did not get the support from our blood relatives. So we had to get support from our chosen family. I can brother, Danny, and you give me more support than I've gotten from a lot of my blood relatives, sadly. But the
Right.
fact they will see, and as they see the success, guess what? They'll start coming along and realizing, wow, maybe there is something to this.
And you know what? My family has. Do you know what I
They,
mean? My family, like my sisters are old school. They think you have to work 9 to 5 to have a living. You know what
yeah,
I mean? If
ab-
they didn't see my success, they would never believe it.
yeah,
Never.
you
And
know,
people think you have to work 9 to 5 to be successful.
yeah,
Folks, there is tons of way to make money out there. You just got to find it.
absolutely. I just want to get to a couple of the comments real quick, Danny. There's so
Sure.
many people that I'm just on one platform. I'm trying to get on all the platforms and
I
answer
know
all.
we got it. You should. Our Instagram's going off. We actually have 100 people on Instagram
Oh,
right now.
guys, for tuning in. Really
Yeah.
quick on YouTube, David Sahadi asked me who are some of my favorite authors. And it's ironic that he asked me that because David Sahadi is one of my favorite authors. I just read his new book, The Nocturnal Me. It's basically about the 7 deadly sins embodied as character. And it's something that applies to every single human being. It's a really profound book. I recommend everyone go check out David Sahadi's books on Amazon. But growing up, my favorite authors were probably Stephen King, John Grisham, Michael Crichton. I also love a lot of poetry. So even back to Edgar Allan Poe, Alfred Lord Tennyson, J.R.R. Tolkien. I like fantasy. I like crime. I like fiction. I like all kinds of stuff. So anyway, I love books. And then Jonathan Gordon really quickly says that I should mention the Florida Path to Success tour. So back in 2016, as soon as I self-published my book, me, Jonathan Gordon, some of our other good friends, we ran around America. We went from all over Florida, Miami, Orlando, Tampa. We went to Miami. Miami, I already said. Went to San Francisco. I went to Chicago. I went to Arkansas. I went to Ohio. And I took Path to Success. I put it in different libraries all around America. So it was a huge blessing to do that. And so shout out to Jonathan Gordon for bringing that up because that was fun memories.
Listen, Gretchen has a question for us, Pete. I put it up.
Okay.
What did you two work on together? Me and Pete worked. We can't talk much about it. Me and Pete worked on a movie called Easy's Waltz.
Yes.
It's not scheduled to come out yet. Soon, I believe, maybe a year from now, 6 months. We don't know when. But it's starring Vince Vaughn and Al Pacino.
Yes.
Both me and Pete were in the movie. We filmed. It was fun. It was filmed here in Vegas, but that's about all we could say. But we're in a movie together, me and Pete.
Yes, absolutely. And much love to Gretchen. That's actually my sister, one of my great supporting family members. So love you, Gretchen. I do want to say to her and to everyone watching that the creator or the director of this movie, Easy's Waltz, is actually the creator of True Detective. So that's why he was given a green light for his first ever feature film, because he did so well with True Detective with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. So Easy's Waltz, it's one of the most profound movies I've ever worked on, not just because you were in it, Danny, but also because you were in it. But the movie's going to be amazing. I know I'm probably going to shed some tears when it comes out. I'm not going to lie.
No, Pete wasn't my date in the movie. I wanted him to be, but they wouldn't let
Yeah,
Pete be my date in the movie.
a couple different girls. They gave me a couple different women for my date. So sorry.
Me too. I had a couple different women throughout the movie that were my date for the evening.
Absolutely.
Listen, real quick, we did have a comment on Instagram.
Okay.
Sharon, she said that she opened her business, and it took her 14 years to be successful. And
Wow.
yeah, exactly. A lot of non-supporters, she's basically saying. Took me a year to get my business, 14 years later. Oh, it took me a year to get my business going, she's saying. Now, 14 years later, yep, a lot of non-supporters. And
Wow.
it just seems like that, like family members will shit on you where strangers will support you. It's very weird. It's
It,
very weird.
it is, Danny. And shout out to you, Sharon. Keep it up. I just want to say I commend you, Sharon, for doing that. I commend you for following your dream, your purpose, and for building a vision. Someone, I see Senior Charles Dupree on Instagram also commented, everyone wants to feed off your hunt. And that's so true. To elaborate on that, when they see you have that big victory, they see you have that big feast, they all want to come to the table. But
Yes.
at the end of the day, I can't remember who, but one movie star or celebrity said it a long time ago, and it just resonated with me. They said, your own family and friends will often bicker and discourage you. However, strangers will make you rich and successful. So that's exactly the truth, because you're going to find your right audience. You're going to find your right clientele and your right business partners when you get out there, once you start doing this and making it happen. And shout out to Avi Ezra in the comments. He said, boom, boom. That's one of my catchphrases on my music, boom, boom. And I saw Angela also wanting me to rap. So at some point I'll rap. We may not get to it on this show.
No, let's do it. We'll wait. Maybe the last 5 minutes, we'll let you rap for 30
Yeah.
seconds.
Okay, cool. But yeah.
All right, that sounds good, man, because everybody wants to see you rap.
Yeah.
Facts. Look at Angela one. She wants to rap.
Hey, I love you all. Love you, Avi. Jonathan Gordon's out there. Thank you all. I'm trying to stay tuned with all the different platforms right now, Danny. So what I need to do is get a couple more screens so I can just see everyone who's commenting on all these platforms, because it's really amazing.
And you know what, Pete? I'll tell you what. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get an iPad too, and I'm going to keep it up here so people from TikTok, even though we can't stream the TikTok, they don't allow it. Maybe I'll keep like a little thing watching us on TikTok, at least live. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So we'll keep progressing. Our goal is to make this show better for you viewers. Danny and I had this conversation in private before we even started doing the show. And I told him that my vision was to bring entertainment, education, inspiration to his already amazing show. The minor details, you're bringing us the best of the crime world. You're bringing us the best of the new laws. You're bringing us the best of real news, and you're telling us what's going on. But I just want to bring my perspective, and we want the show to be about you, the viewers. So please give us feedback.
Exactly. And you know what, Pete, just getting back into success real quick.
Yeah.
Another thing that I learned how to be successful at my whole life. Listen, I grew up in an Italian family. Okay. I had a weight problem my whole life because my mom was such a good cook. And man. I went from 260 pounds to 185, which I actually went down to 170. And that was too low for me. I didn't look good at 170. Okay. So I went up to 185, and I have that weight off now, like 6 years. You know what I mean? And it just takes, when you weight loss, it's like anything else. You're not going to see results right away, but you got to celebrate every pound you lose, because you got to celebrate the small victories to get to the large victory.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It just is. It's crazy. And that's how you got to think. You got to think little steps at a time, little things. And Pete, one more thing. I got to say this because it just came into my head.
Yeah.
Guys, the first time I ever played in the World Series of Poker, okay, I thought I was real good. I thought, holy shit, I'm such a great poker player. I walk into the World Series of Poker, and there's 4,500 fucking people in there. The room is as big as a football field. There's hundreds of poker tables. And I thought to myself, I can't win this. This is ridiculous. Honest to God, Pete, that was what my head said to me. My head told me I can't win. There's 4,500 people. But you know what I did? I said to myself, my first goal is to make it an hour. I made it an hour. My second goal was to make it 2 hours. And then, Pete, my third goal was to make it to the next day, which I did. And I won $4,500 and went out 283rd place out of 4,500. But man, if I would have listened to my head told me I couldn't win. My head said, Danny, this is crazy. There's 4,500 people that are way better than you. Why are you even here? And a lot of people listen to their head instead of this. Listen to this. This will take you further.
Absolutely, Danny. And that's amazing, brother. That's a great story. And I know that a lot of the times the thoughts that we have in our heads that are telling us, no, you can't make it, it's due to negative programming, brainwashing, being around the wrong circle. And Danny, and for all the viewers out here, if you all will look around at the 5 or 10 closest people in your life, the people that you spend the most of your time with, that's a reflection of your life. That's what your life is going to turn out to be. So if you're hanging around bums and people who are being negative and people who are being just losers and pessimistic, I hate to call anyone a loser, but some people are doing that. If you're hanging around that, you're going to become that. So you got to be around winners. That's why I put myself in better circles. That's why I put myself in better environments, Danny.
Let me tell you something, Pete. When I worked real quick, guys, I worked for a very, very small police department when I first started. I ended up being the chief of police of that police department.
Wow.
Then I leave that police department, take a job with the state, with the Capitol Police in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I get there. My first day on the job, I see the detectives. And in my head, I said to myself, I'm going to be a detective. And within 9 months, I was a fucking detective. And you know what? People just don't go after their goals. You got to set your mind, you got to see it, and you got to go for it. And within 9 months, I was a detective. Wow. And that's just how you have to do it.
Wow. All I got to say is virtual fist bump right now. Boom. Because that's, that's amazing, man. And you and I are both living testimonies, Danny. We both have unique stories. And there's so many others, people even in the comments, whether it's Angela, David Sahadi, Jonathan Gordon, Avi, anyone else who's tuning in, we all have a story and we all have a level of life that we've been victorious at. Some of us haven't celebrated the big victories that we're going for yet, but we can still keep going. I want to get to a couple of the comments real quick. Yes, Angela, I will wrap at some point, maybe at the end of this show, but if we don't have time, I promise I will do a wrap on the next show if I don't do it here, because I just had so much I wanted to go over. But Jonathan Gordon wanted to ask, do you know that I'm a rapper? Of course you knew that. But do you know that I'm filming tomorrow? So, Danny, I mentioned really quick in our briefing earlier that I'm going to be back on set tomorrow in Chattanooga. So I'm so excited to be back on set. The project is a little bit of a secret right now. So until David Sahadi makes the press release and the announcement, I can't really tell too much about this project. But I will say that you are going to want to tune in. So next week on our podcast, I hopefully will be able to talk a little more about that. But, Danny, it just brings me to life. It puts me in the zone to be back in front of a camera. Even this right here, this puts me in the zone, man.
I agree. Listen, I definitely want to be in another movie someday. I definitely do. Hopefully, we'll work together someday.
We will.
I'm totally excited where this is going to take all of us. Listen, TikTok isn't going anywhere. No. I have my goal is by the summer to have 500,000 followers on TikTok. Yes. And my total goal is to get 1 million followers. And I believe that I will do it in the long run. But you know what, Pete? We have like 17 minutes left. I wanted to bring this up.
Okay.
There is a new documentary, because we didn't talk about crime at all. So I know there's some people want to hear about crime here.
Talk about it.
We have a new documentary out for O.J. Simpson. Yes, another one, which just happened, I believe, in 1993. I think the incident happened. Yeah. And here's the thing. They're saying that his agent, are you ready for this, everybody? His agent is saying at one point, he looked at OJ and he said to OJ, Juice, I think you did it. And OJ looked up at him and said, if Nicole didn't bring a knife to that front door, she'd be alive today. That is what OJ Simpson's agent is saying OJ said to him. That Nicole brought the knife to the front door.
Whoa.
That's what he's saying. I mean, so I did a video on that today. I mean, this case, I mean, think about this. This case is so old, but people are still so obsessed with this case.
It was one of the biggest cases of all time in my life. I still remember where I was. I was in Jasper, Tennessee when I heard the news, and I was just like, oh my God, like this is just mind blowing. Of course, we were all following along back in the 90s. And so for it to still, for us to still be talking about it in 2025, that's amazing. And that's a big development. That is just like, that's a bomb. That you just dropped a bomb on us.
Oh, I mean, I couldn't believe I read that. And supposedly, I guess he's going to talk about this in the documentary. I think the documentary's on Netflix. And listen, I honest to God, Pete, I just became a cop. Like when OJ's case happened, I was a cop a couple years by then. I became a cop in 1988. So 5 years I was a cop already.
Wow.
Like I said, yes, I'm old. 1988, I was a cop.
Hey,
But anyway, I remember I was in Ocean City, Maryland when I heard about it. I
wow.
was like, I was in Ocean City, Maryland. My daughter was like 8 months old, my oldest daughter, who's 31 now. And I remember she was 8 months old. And all I could think was, God, I hope OJ had nothing to do with this because I loved OJ. Everybody loved OJ. He was a great person. Like, I did not want OJ to have done it. I loved OJ.
Yeah. And isn't it amazing how we remember where we were at those exact moments? Those were life-changing and very profound cases. So it's just really amazing to look back on it and to see the effect that it's made on society. And Danny, what would you have done differently if you were a police officer there when the case was being investigated? Do you think you would have done?
Guys, there was so many. Listen, we talk about the jury with a bad verdict,
Yeah.
okay? And I get it, they had a bad verdict, but the cops made such fucking bad mistakes, Pete. It's
Yeah.
not even funny. Think about this, Pete. When I used to handle a case as a cop, I wouldn't think about what I was doing right then and there. I was thinking, is this going to stand up in court? So when I would go to a scene, I'm already thinking about court that's going to happen a year from now. What's court going to look like from this scene? Like, you start thinking about court because as a cop, you know this is all going to end up in a courthouse. So you
Yeah.
got to make sure you're doing the right things. There is no way you take the evidence home with you.
No.
They took the evidence home with them. They put it in the trunk and said, we'll take it to the evidence room tomorrow, and went home with it. Okay? So that's like the biggest mistake in the world. So did the cops make mistakes? Of course they did. Did the jury get it wrong? Yes. But the cops were at fault here too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just being honest with you.
I'm sure you and everyone in your department was literally just coming to work every single day talking about what you would have done differently and what should have been done differently, because we were all on the edge of our seats, man. You know, it's just, and even now we still want to know. We still want to know the details. It's crazy.
And you know what didn't help? I mean, what was the guy's name? Furman? Yeah,
Yeah.
Furman. He had all them racial comments, and remember they had him on video saying all the racial things. And
Yeah.
then, honestly, guys, the thing that lost the case was him trying the gloves on.
Yeah. Come on.
Leather gloves, when they're wet, they shrink.
Yeah.
So they may have fit them originally, but when they're wet, because it was raining that night, they shrink.
Yeah. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And
I
Dan,
mean, it was crazy.
yeah, it's just mind blowing. I see William said that everyone loved Cosby as well. There are so many. Every person is a human. We're all different, and there are so many people who we, as fans, we just really fall in love with that character. We fall in love with that celebrity. We have these. I don't want to say idolization, but we have this admiration for these people often. And when something happens, and then we hear about them doing a crime, or we hear about them being charged with a crime, it's just really so drastically shocking to us, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
I definitely understand it, you know. So I see Danny said, I'm sorry, David Sahadi says, tell Danny how my father drafted O.J. Simpson in 1969 for the Buffalo Bills. That's right. So David Sahadi's father is Lou Sahadi, a legend in the sports industry, a legend in the NFL, and he actually drafted Mr. Simpson himself. So shout out
That is crazy. That's awesome.
in peace. Yeah. Amazing.
I mean, people don't realize how good OJ was.
Oh,
I mean, OJ, take away the murder, OJ
Yeah.
was a great football player.
Yeah.
I mean, he really was. It's crazy.
And Dan, as actors, we both know he was an actor as well. So to me, that was just another level of his celebrity. I was always in admiration of anyone who could make it acting, especially if you already made it in something else. Because a lot of times people would just be famous already and they get a free role. But if you can really make it as an actor and get recurring roles over and over again, it's a hard business, like you said, like you know now. And so
yeah. Oh, God, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
my God. I'll tell you what. It's stressful. Like, I watch some of these guys get ready for their scenes. And, Pete, listen, we can't give anything away, but real quick, there
Yeah.
was one scene that I swear to God lasted 10 minutes. And these guys never broke character. They never forgot their lines. I thought to myself, there's no way I could ever be an actor. I
Yeah.
swear to God, these guys went through a 10-minute scene without forgetting one line or one break. It was insane. It was insane.
It's brilliant. It really is. So I just say shout out to Avi, my friend Derek Yates. I have so many friends that I could mention who are doing it for a living, who are acting on a regular basis. And it is just really such a talent and such a skill. Yes, you can develop it. Yes, you can work harder. But one of my coworkers from the movie Den of Thieves and the movie Cop Shop, Gerard Butler, who he goes by Jerry, he was in Den of Thieves 2 as well, which just came out. And they just announced a Den of Thieves Part 3, which is coming out also. Jerry said in an interview that you either have it or you don't. He was like, you can either act or you can't. And he was going to be a lawyer, and then he decided to be an actor instead. I believe Matthew McConaughey also wanted to be a lawyer, and then he decided to be an actor. So it's interesting that the correlation between being a lawyer and being an actor is very prevalent. I also thought about being a lawyer, Danny, when I was young. My mom said, Peter, you argue all the time. You should be a lawyer. So I said, maybe I'll be an actor instead.
Hey, maybe we'll film a movie together and you'll be the director someday. That'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Jonathan says, Derek in the house from Cali. I see a comment here on Instagram now. Charles Dupree says, I remember that was the slowest police chase ever. Back to the OJ case. Yeah, man. We were watching that just like, oh my God. Like we were watching that.
Did you get that from Instagram? I see it on Instagram. Yeah.
Now, Danny, is there another case that you want to bring up? I know we only have 9 minutes, so let's.
You know what? One last thing. Somebody also said here that Cato took him to McDonald's once.
Oh, really?
Somebody must have known Cato. Oh, you know what we can talk about real quick? How many people became famous from that case?
Oh, man. Yes.
Oh, my God. The Kardashians would not be the Kardashians.
No.
They wouldn't. I mean, they got famous because of that case. Yeah. I mean, they all did that. Cato, well, Cato's not famous anymore, but for a while he was. He was on a lot of shows. And the judge, I forgot about the judge too.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. They're all known. They all now have made a stamp in history as well. Judge Ito, that's right, Judge Ito.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you, MC Blue, for that comment. Thank you, MC Blue, for chiming in.
And then that Marcia Clark, remember, she was the other attorney, Marcia Clark. Absolutely. And listen, I learned a lot from that trial. I mean, it was crazy. And a lot of people, they don't realize how much goes into a trial. It's very hard to pick a jury. I mean, that is very hard. I don't know if you noticed, Pete, and I'm going to put it out there. We got 7 minutes left. Okay. I am going to go to the Idaho-Moscow case where Brian Koberger killed them 5 college students. Okay. The trial starts in August. I'm going to be there for the start of the trial for a week. I'm going to report from the scene, from the courthouse. And then the last week of the trial, when the jury goes out, I'm going to fly back out there and report from the scene. And that's part of what I'm going to start doing. My goal is to be active TikToker, where I'm going to actually go to scenes when these big cases happen. I want to get to that point, financially, that I can do this. You know what I mean? And I'm getting to that point that maybe in 6 months from now, I could start doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Danny, I love that idea. I will say I'm not 100% positive right now about my schedule in August, but I would love to join you for that for at least a couple days. If I can't be there for the whole week, I will spend my own money to fly out there and to meet you. And I think that would be an amazing thing because obviously we need to be going live in person again. Remember our lives back in Vegas? Remember our lives from Rick's Pawn Shop? Man, we had some great times, didn't we?
Yeah, I know. And Jonathan put, oh shit, that's a great case. Jonathan, honestly, to be honest with you, I had about 50,000 followers on TikTok. When that case came up, I just blossomed. And then I was on Paramount Plus's Cyber Sleuths. I was on all 3 episodes, and that was the Idaho case. And that got me to my 400,000 followers, that case. But Pete, just so you know, I'm not going to be the only one. There's a bunch of content creators coming out there. It would be great if you came out for 1 or 2 days. I'll get us a hotel. We'll hang out. We'll report from the scene. And I think that's the future of what I'm going to do with my TikTok.
I love it, Danny. And that's one reason that I've always had faith in you, tuning into you. That's one reason why I've always had more faith in you than the mainstream media, because you're really involved in this. You don't have an agenda. You don't have someone paying you from one political party or another telling you need to report one way or another. You're doing honest, real human feedback. And I love that, Danny. It's amazing. So thank you for doing that.
And listen, Pete, I'm going to tell my followers out here, I don't lie about anything. I lean more to the right than I lean to the left, but I call both parties out. I call the Republicans out. I call the Democrats out. Listen, I was a cop for 27 years. Half my videos are calling the cops out.
Yeah.
But I'll also say the cops did good. I'm not going to sit here and say the cops did bad when they didn't. So I do both. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to be one-sided like our local newses are, right? Our national news is not our local news, is our national. But Pete, we got 5 minutes left. Could you give us 30 seconds? Angela will be so happy. Angela, could you give us a rap for 30 seconds?
Okay, cool. I'll do it in just 1 minute. I just want to really quickly make a shout out to another project that I'm doing, Danny. And I'm going to be involved in a NFT creation. So NFT is something that a lot of people don't know what it is. So this actually is this is one of my personal projects. It's going to be involving my music. NFTs are non-fungible tokens. They are put together on the cryptocurrency platform. So it has to do with crypto. We can talk about it more in a future show, but I just wanted to at least shout out to everyone that I'm doing it, because there are some people in the crypto and the NFT world that are going to be watching today. So shout out to BDP, Vibes, and Derek. The website is bdp.buzz. And basically what this is going to be, Danny, it's going to be a digital music video that will be able to be bought and sold with my own music. So that transitions into what I'm going to do. Actually, if you guys want a little sample. So
dude, that's awesome. Yeah, give us that. We got 4 minutes. Give us a sample, Pete. Yeah, quick sample.
It's super cool that the world is changing, Danny, and cryptocurrency only came about since 2009. So imagine being in on the stock market in the 1930s or whatever year the stock market was founded. Imagine being one of the first people to buy stocks. How would you be doing today?
Oh, unbelievable.
Pretty amazing, right? So,
yes.
So there's so many things that they're new, they're up and coming. And when you get in on the ground floor, you have a much bigger profit margin. So I'm still new to cryptocurrency. I'm still understanding more. Angela, yes, you can DM me and I can talk more about crypto with you. I've lost money on crypto. I've also gained money on crypto. I've made the most money I've ever made in my life in one day from cryptocurrency, but I've also lost money by making some foolish decisions. But the point is, like any other investment.
I want to know about that too. I'm going to DM you also.
It's not investment advice. But like any other investment, you have to research it. You have to understand what's going on, and you have to look into things. And if you don't try and you don't risk it, you won't get the biscuit. You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
I've also gained money on crypto.
Oh,
I've made the most money.
That's all right.
I hear myself on my speaker. Okay. I was going to tune in. So this is actually a song. I'm going to let you guys hear a quick snippet. It's called Path of Destruction, and it just released. So it's actually live on Spotify, Apple Music, and you can find it by going to my links right now. But I'll give you guys not the whole song, but I'll give you guys a quick little sample. And
all right, go ahead.
So, all right, you guys ready for Path of Destruction?
Let's go.
All right, let's do this. You guys ready? Angela, you ready? You better be tuning in or I'm going to be mad. All right, hold on just a second. I'm going to crank it up. Here we go. Can you hear it? All right.
Step into the ring. I'm a king, like the Undertaker, swing with the left hook. Thor hammer, thunderbreaker, crush my competition, screaming woo like a Ric Flair. Pick him up like a rag doll, throw him in the air. Body mile, driver mile high suplex. Ronnie Van Dam, got my hands around the gooseneck. Legend and a veteran gentleman, like my name's Sahadi. Enter into my path of destruction, guided raining bodies. If they show aggression, then I wrestle them like Stone Cold. Ops keep applying all this pressure, but I won't fold. Scars on my face, in Montana, starting to feel like Tony. Someone call the Rock and let him know that he's the real jabroni. Welcome to the path of destruction. My adrenaline is pumping. Feel my wrath. I ain't bluffing. I won't back down for nothing. Tell that Rudy Poo that he's got a smackdown coming. Pow, pow, pow. Welcome to the path of destruction. My adrenaline is pumping. Feel my wrath. I ain't bluffing. I won't back down for nothing. Tell that Rudy Poo that he's got a smackdown coming. Pow, pow, pow. Step into the room.
That's all you get for now. But if you want
Pete mother effing pitch, baby, let's fucking go!
Hey, I did not plan on doing that, so I was a little rusty, but rap and music is one of my other talents. So thank you guys for listening. And thank you, Danny. I know we're about to end the show. I'll let you wrap us up, buddy.
All right, I'm going to wrap us up with this. Guys, we're going to do news. We're going to do entertainment. We're going to do acting. We're going to do crime. We're going to have guests on here. If you want to be a guest, you have a story, let us know. You could be a guest on our podcast. Guys, we're going to have the question of the week throughout the week. If something happens, thecrimesolver@yahoo.com. Email me. We'll get your question. Love you guys all. We'll see you later. Pete, stay on.
Tuning in. I'll see you guys next week.
All right, bye-bye.